IAM users are the most widely used identities on AWS IAM. That is because if you have engineers who have had the company, let's say for example, you have John who's a cloud engineer, you have Francis who's a cloud engineer, and you have Joseph who's a cloud engineer. When you want to access the AWS account, what you need to do is to actually create an IAM user for each and every one of them. An IAM user is nothing but a principal or an entity or an identity that is authenticated into an AWS account. So that definitely means when you actually create an IAM user, you're doing that because you want to assign that identity to somebody or something. So in this scenario where we have John trying to access the AWS account, what we're going to do is that we could create a user called John, and we could give the credential to John. And when we have a user called Francis who wants to access the account, we might pretty much just create an IAM user called Francis who we're going to give the credentials to Francis. Said like Joseph. There are only two ways an IAM user can actually authenticate into an AWS account. That could be done through the graphical user interface, which is through the management console, where the user is then able to need username and password if he actually has to authenticate through the management console, or the user could actually make use of access keys and secret access keys if he has to authenticate through programmatic access. So there are two ways you could actually authenticate a user into an AWS account. That might be done through management console access, where the user needs username and password, or it could be done through the programmatic access, where the user is being given access keys and secret access keys. When you actually have users carrying out the same function, you might not want to manage them individually. For example, in this scenario where you have John and Francis who are both cloud engineers, it definitely means that John and Francis might be doing the same thing and they are not. So for that scenario, you could actually make use of a group. So when we talk about a group is nothing but a container which you can simply use to manage your users. So you could actually have a group, and in that group, you could actually have your users inside a group. Why is this important? This is important because you can be able to manage your identities in one place. So for example, if I have identities who are carrying out the same function, instead of me giving permissions to those identities individually, I could simply have them in a group, and I could actually allocate a permission to that group. And any permission that is allocated to that group affects all the users in that group. And anytime I detach a user from the group, the user actually loses the group permissions. And if I add a user to a group, the user automatically gets permissions assigned to that group. That is simply what an IAM group is all about. Let's talk about policies. When you think about IAM policies, think about permissions on AWS. As you create identities on AWS, these identities can only access other AWS services or resources through the use of policies. So a policy is nothing but a document written in JSON that defines the level of access an identity actually has on an AWS service or an AWS resource. One thing I want you to understand is that there are actually two types of policies that you should pay attention right now. You actually have identity-based policies, and you also have resource-based policies. When we talk about identity-based policies, we're simply talking about policies that are attached to AWS identities. For example, any permission that you give to an IAM user or to an IAM group or to an IAM role is considered to be an identity-based policy. There are actually three types of identity-based policies which you're going to hear of. You actually have the AWS managed policies, you actually have the custom knowledge policies, as well as the inline policy. But let's talk about identity-based policies in general. Let's for example, you have a user called John. John, who is an IAM user, actually needs to access the S3 service to maybe create an S3 bucket and have access to other objects which were actually already in other buckets. Or let's say, for example, you have a service called EC2 on AWS, and you want the user called John to actually be able to create those instances on the EC2 service. For that to happen, you actually need to establish a permission to the user, because it's only through the policy that the user will be given access to access S3 and perform action to S3, and it is only through the policy that the user will have permissions to access EC2 and play around with resources over there. So by default, identities have no permissions if or unless they actually assign permissions through the use of policies.